Peace everyone, Unmask Art here, and today I'll be showing you how to create this moon. On the left side of the screen you'll see the color palette I'm using. The numbers correspond to Luminance colored pencils, and I'm coloring on Stonehenge vellum paper. For those that support my channel over on Patreon, the real-time drawing video of this is available to you now. So grab your colored pencils and let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you see me doing here is using a mustard lid. Not necessarily has to be a mustard lid, but I used a mustard lid, just to create a really nice sharp edge in a perfect circle for the moon. I like to use the outer edge as opposed to a circle stencil, which is the inner edge, because using the outer edge gives you the sharp edge on the inside instead of the outside. The next thing you can see me doing is just basically scribbling. The color that I'm using right now is the 508 color. It's a very dark gray in comparison to the 159 color, which is a very dark blue. So when you're looking at the color palette, just know there is a difference between those two. Now I am going over the entire thing with the 159. The purpose of this is to tint the entire sky blue. And then once I go back over it with the 009, which is just black that you see here, it's going to desaturate that blue, but once I blend it out, it's going to have a really rich, dark black blue color. As you can see here, I'm using my round number 8 brush and my odorless paint thinner to blend out the colored pencil. I'm using quite a bit of my paint thinner here to just smooth it out really good. I put quite a bit of layers of the colored pencil on the paper already, so it's going to have really good coverage. You can see I only put the black on the outer side. I kept the inside near the moon more of the 508 color, so it's a little bit less black. And then I'm just going over the entire thing with my paint thinner and blending it all out. The important thing of these first initial steps is really creating the subtle difference between the color of the sky that is right next to the moon and as it gets farther away. This is what's going to allow you to create that glow effect that you want your moon to have. Now you can see that I've started adding the second layers. I've used the 508 and now I'm using the 009 again, just the black, to darken up the edges as dark as I can possibly get them. You can switch between the 508 and the 159 color before blending it out just to get a little bit more blue, but you can see here once you blend out the 508 color, it's going to be a very noticeably lighter gray than the black outer edge, and you can already start to see the glowing effect that it gives from the white orb that is the moon in the middle. If you want to, you can add stars to this. The way you can add stars is by scraping off some of your white colored pencil on there and using the technique that I've used in previous tutorials by pressing it into the paper, or you can use gel pen or whatever other means that you'd like. You can splatter white paint on it if you want. The next thing that I start doing here is I just start coloring the moon. The base color that I'm using is the 801. I color the entire moon 801. And then I go over top of that with the 802, which is the tannish gray color that you see there. And then I use the 504 and the 409 just to kind of add some details, add some of the ridges and texture that you get in the moon. And I just kind of play around with it a little bit. The other important thing to do is to take your 495 gray and kind of blend the moon into the sky on the right side. That way it flows into the sky a little bit nicer. The next thing you can do is just use your 802 and your 504 to create a little bit of texture, create those little pits that you have on the moon, and go through and texturize everything. I don't really do a lot of blending on the moon because I want the texture to contrast that of the sky, which is very smooth. This is going to let the moon stick out a little bit more and have a bit more presence in the picture. The final things that I'm doing here is I'm just using the 801 and the 802 to kind of blend the colors a little bit, smooth it just a bit, but because I'm not using the paint thinner, it's going to maintain some of the texture. And then I also use a little bit of my colorless blender just to smooth out a little bit of the edges to give it that final glowy look. And then I go through and I darken some of the darkest shadows that are on the moon and work in a little bit more texture. And the last thing that I do is I just take a little bit of the 801 and highlight the left side of the moon, emphasizing the light source. Alright everyone, here's the finished product. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful. Remember that if you'd like to see the real-time video, head over to my Patreon page. Otherwise, be sure to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up and a share, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Peace.